Hey, my name is Craig Fries. I'm showing you my Tic Tac Toe application, but before we get started on that, I do just want to show that my original application that I tried building is a web application of model view controller. And what I learned is you always have to take coding in steps. And so this is my first iteration, my second iteration, and my third of that web application. And I spent many hours into it, but ultimately couldn't get it to work. And so um, I decided to use the knowledge that I learned from the previous projects and incorporate it into something that's similar. That's at my current skill level and experience in C Sharp. So can go ahead and run this application here, and you can see it's a tic-tac-toe board. You can play by typing into the console what score you want to be at. It plays an X in that spot, and now it's O's turn. They can defend in the center, and then two, and then maybe they don't recognize it and that what X is trying to do, and they lose. And then it says, good game, player that played X won. And then it shows that I was using some structures and unions, and now it puts that at the bottom of the game. And then it incorporates for Cat's game and the other win situations. And I can just show that really quickly about a Cat's game situation. And I keep accidentally typing on the code. And there we go there. 1, 5, and then let's say 6, and then 4. Really great defense here. 9, and then they're going to go 8, and then 7. Then we can see tie game there. So it accounts for everything that you would expect to see out of a tic-tac-toe game, and it alternates between 1 and 2 players. So I have a board class and a player class, and within the board, it creates a new board. We can take a look at that. It's an array of characters, and we have to do some tricky changes between characters and integers throughout the game of taking the input. And then it looks to see if that's a playable location. If it is, then you're able to do it. And it's always checking for a win situation. There's all the different win cases. And then this is what actually plays onto the board. And then this is the output of the board. And then you can see what the player is able to do. That takes in a board. You can pick what symbol they play as, either X's or O's. You can actually put as any character, in fact, at that object creation. And then if this is what gets them through playing, so depending on what they do, they can update the board. And if they did play, and then it takes it through the rest of the application here. So you can say, well, player 1 did play, and this is how we alternate between the scores. So if they haven't played yet, then let's go ahead and keep giving them the opportunity to play, because we might reject their input and they have to try again. And so it stays on player 1 until they have in fact played, at which case that becomes untrue and it exits, and then we redetermine that they haven't played again to prepare for the next cycle. And if the war and is one up, it's either 0, -1, or 1, depending on if it's a tie game, someone won, or if the game is not over. So if the game is in fact over, if it's not over yet, then go ahead and break from the entire while loop. Otherwise, let's keep playing, in which case it'd be player 2's turn. And then you can see that repetitive behavior. Something to do for the future would be to put these into a class, and then have it, or into a method, and then have it alternate the players of which ones you're using to simplify that repeated code down. And then same thing, it breaks there. This is what helps the user understand what's going on. If it is a tie game, -1 was outputted, then this also returns the integer. Then it's a tie game. Otherwise, it's a good game. We need to go figure out who actually won. And so we can take whatever win character it is, and the win character is updated by whatever value is whatever value is in that sequence, whether it's in any of those 3 patterns, the possible 8 possible combinations of wins. And then this is to practice my structures, and so I just put it on the bottom of my code, and that's what you see outputs, which says structures and unions are neat. And so I learned about structures, how they're similar and different from classes, and how those can take on different values that you can reference at different times. So I just have the multiplicand and the multiplier, and that determines how many times it is. So if I were to turn this to 3, then that would do it 6 times because it's multiplying, and then it just outputs the celebration text, which is structures and unions are neat, and the celebration there. The biggest thing that I learned is perseverance, and time management. When something that you're doing doesn't work, oftentimes you have to switch what your goal is and work towards something else.